Welcome back, True Seeker. Monday, November 27th, 2023. Going to go through a lot of today's top headlines, as well as the big story, at least here in the United States, all day yesterday on Sunday, November 26th, 1126, something like the year 1126. We'll get to why it all matters. It was all about the Red Cross and a 4-year-old Israeli hostage girl who everyone had thought had died, but she was alive. Anyhow, we'll get to that. Elon Musk today in Israel visiting with their leadership, Mr. Herzog and Mr. Netanyahu. And if you're new here, we talk about what a little Jesuit / Illuminati puppet Elon Musk is. And it's very easy to see when you know what you need to know to see. The language of numerology and gematria, which is used every day by these occultists who run the world, who do everything by the same repetitive patterns. And we'll get to why that is, why it matters that today's Elon Musk's 153rd day of his age, this very biblical number that all Christians know because of the miraculous catch of 153 fish. And of course, he's in the very biblical Israel. Again, the Abrahamic religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. A lot of tensions between those religions because of Israel and the world wars and what's been transpiring in this historical period of time, and really long before that. But yeah, we'll get to Elon Musk. We'll talk about this story that was all over the news on Sunday, November 26th, and continues to be in the headlines today. We'll talk about why it was 17 hostages were released on Sunday, the same day as the news of the 4-year-old girl. And also, we'll get to the 11 hostages that were released today and the first American released yesterday, why that was. Again, we're going to make the point that numerology, gematria, the numbers of the Bible, you just pay attention to these relatively simple patterns, you can understand the way the programming is being unveiled. It's very numerological, as we've been pointing out. I mean, nobody questions anything, but it's like the same numbers just put in front of everyone's face every day. So, again, it was Title 40 that Israel used to declare the war. Now they're saying more than 40 hostages Hamas doesn't have, but they don't know who has them. It's like, And they're saying so far of the hostages released, there's been 40 that were Israeli. And of course, in gematria, the number 40 gets very interesting. Very biblical number. 40's all throughout the Bible. So most people know 40 days and 40 nights, but there's a lot more. And then we'll talk about why 11 more were released today on the 9-date numerology. That's today's date numerology, Monday, November 27th, 2023. How does the date numerology break down to 9? Very simply. Just write out the date and add up every number together. 1 + 1 + 2 + 7 + 2 + 0 + 2 + 3, which should add up to 17. Or hold on. Hold on. I got a typo. It should add up to 18, which is 9. I don't know what I was doing there when I wrote this down. My fault. But it is a date numerology of 9. My apologies. I just wrote down the wrong numbers for some reason on the screen. My fingers must have been ahead of my brain. But yeah, 11 hostages on the 9-date numerology. Again, you add up all the numbers of the day, it adds up to 18, and then the numerology of 18 is 1 + 8 is 9. Numerology is making larger numbers into a single-digit number. And 9 and 11 are this special pairing in numerology. And, of course, they're calling this Israel's 9/11. And anyhow, 11 hostages on the 9-date numerology of Monday. Red Cross is all over the place. Also in the news today that Jimmy Carter's still in hospice care, but he's healthy enough to leave to visit his wife's funeral tomorrow. Jimmy Carter's wife's funeral will be on November 28th, 11/28. And again, it goes right back to this question. What is 47? What is 47? 1128 is the 47th triangular number. And every year we're talking about big rituals with 47 on 11/28. And remember, 47 is about as big of a number as you can get to connect to the presidency. Case in point, right now you have the 47th vice president, Joe Biden, who is now the president, and he became president after being in D.C. as a senator for 47 years. And he once took office as the vice president with Obama, who took office at age 47. And in Gematria, the practice of coding numbers into words, president equals 47, so does White House, so does government, so does authority, so does Democrats, so does Republicans, so does Whig. Again, the Republican Party came out of the Whig Party thanks to Abraham Lincoln, who said 7 years ago, 47, like 47, like this nation's birthday, the fourth day of the seventh month. But again, Vatican's also 47. Again, all these numbers have to do with authority. News is 47, time is 47, policeman's 47, cops 47, the ritual they just did with Derek Chauvin at age 47. George Floyd was in his 47th year of life. Again, Derek Chauvin, the cop who killed George Floyd, that set off the riots all over the nation because the news was right on top of it from the whole moment, trying to incite people who'd been on lockdown for the last 3 months. Mass manipulation of human behavior through the conditions they put them in and the things they're provoked by. What these authorities are doing to us by this Kabbalistic code, where the darker half of Kabbalah is the Qliphoth, and it's about sorcery and spell casting and having influence and control through knowledge such as this. I mean, you can't blame Jimmy Carter. Is he even cognitive? I mean, he's been in hospital. They made it seem like Jimmy Carter was going to die at the very beginning of the year in hospice care, with the headlines about his family being with him in his last hours. And now he lives through the whole year, and his wife goes into hospice care and dies 2 days later. And Jimmy's still here, and he's in good enough shape to go to the funeral. I mean, I don't have all the answers for how they're doing all of this, but it's obvious again why 11/28. We just talked about when Kim Kardashian, when the news broke that she's going to be the man of the year for GQ, why that article's dated November 28th, when last year she was connected to the I forget the name of that fashion company, but she was connected to that whole thing, and that news broke on 11/28. And the year before that, the famous fashion designer died unexpectedly, who was connected to Kim and Kanye. But anyway, 11/28, 47th triangular number, special pairing, number of the presidency. This president, again, going to be with at his ex-wife's funeral. You know, and I only say ex-wife because they were married for the time they were young people until she just died the other day. So I guess to say his wife's funeral. R.I.P. And if you missed everything we were showing about Jimmy Carter, I mean, we've been talking about all year the rituals they've been doing with Jimmy. We've been talking about it for more than a year. You know, how they called Georgia for Biden synced up with Jimmy Carter. Anyway, remember, him and his wife were married in 46. And right now we're in the time of Joe Biden, number 46, again, elected 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday, when the only other Catholic Pope was, or not Catholic Pope, but Catholic president was JFK, who was killed at age 46. And how in Gematria Catholic is 46. And again, you learn the numbers and the language, you realize how they pertain to the Bible. Again, 46 books in the Catholic Old Testament, Catholic and Gematria equals 46. So anyway, you got the Elon Musk story. This one, McDonald's, CNN making it a big story today about how McDonald's is just getting too expensive and it's going to be bad for the Democratic Party. Today leaves 34 days left in the year, and Democrats 34. But again, we'll go back and talk about what's so interesting about McDonald's and the golden arches, the big M's, the 13th letter, and where golden arches matters even more. And then today, out of the UK, seemingly a tribute to George Orwell in Animal Farm. If you've never read Animal Farm, might be a good time to read it. It's a relatively short read, but profound if you think about it. George Orwell, who also wrote 1984 and Burmese Days, and who's well remembered for portraying this world that's looking more and more like the world we're living in now, and doing it right at the end of World War II. It's like he saw the future from the end of World War II. But if you never read Animal Farm, got to read that book. And yeah, we'll get to what this story today about UK, the United Kingdom, detecting its first human case of swine flu in humans. We'll look at that, and it'll give us deja vu of 2020 all over again. We'll also quickly look at the death of Marty Krofft, who created some TV shows back in the 60s and 70s for children. And in a way, I wish I could. If anybody's ever seen these cartoons, maybe somebody's a little bit older, I just wonder what you remember. Because again, we know how the psychopaths are, and all their entertainment they've been putting out for all these decades. It's like they've been foretelling the future, and then when you're paying attention, you see how people will die, and the time of a news cycle where what the work they're remembered from fits in with the news cycle. It was like a super. There's so many examples, but anyway, again, Elon Musk. Today is his 153rd day of his age. June 28th is his birthday. And if you measure from his birthday to today, you'd see it's 152 days later. Or if you count June 28th, it's his 153rd day of his age. And again, in Gematria, Jesuit orders 153, Holy Bible's 153, the Illuminati's 153. If you're new here, there are 4 ciphers you need to know for the English language. It's the alphabetic order forwards and backwards with numerology applying. And these same numbers come up redundantly with the rituals with Elon Musk. And notice how Jesuit order, for example, is 144.54, 153, like we just talked about, and also 72. Again, remember when he offered $54 per share for Twitter on April 14th, 14/4, the anniversary of the shooting of Lincoln, when Lincoln blamed the American Civil War on the Jesuits. Trump has 1,072 connections. The Trump Twitter ongoing saga, the ban being lifted, they've all been rituals with these same repetitive numbers, and a million other things. When Elon Musk was first reported as the richest man in the world for the first time ever, it was on the death anniversary of Nikola Tesla, and it was the 78th anniversary. And notice where Jesuit orders 153, the word Jesuit alone is 78, just like Tesla. And then he has the whole connection with Trump. Trump's going to be 78 at the time of the next election, and 24 when X is the 24th letter. And, you're watching CNN and they're saying how Elon Musk could have an impact on the election by not censoring false information. And we know that Trump thrives on false information and they're allied. But anyway, there's 78 cards in the tarot deck. Trump's trying to repeat history from Cleveland. He had his convention there in 2016, about the same time Elon Musk was starting to get mega famous. A lot of focus on Elon Musk. He's become mega famous in the same time Donald Trump's become mega famous. Well, Donald Trump's been mega famous for way longer, but I mean, just like commanding so much of the spotlight of the world's attention are Elon Musk and Donald Trump at all times for about the last 7 years, ever since Trump announced he was running for president. And again, you just learn this little gematria code and you just see ritual after ritual, the same number patterns. Again, it's just like Donald Trump, who's Jesuit educated, was posing with the first Jesuit Pope, Pope Francis, at the Vatican right after becoming president on May 24th, 2017, the 144th day of the year. President Biden, Jesuit educated, is also 144. And he, again, they had the simulation at Georgetown that he would win the election and Trump would refuse to step down, called the Transition Integrity Project, June 12th, 2020, 144 days for the November 3rd election, and a million more things. It's not an accident that President Biden and President Trump are both 72 and 81, and they both have a whole bunch of weird, suspicious deaths in their family. And remember, Trump's uncle supposedly investigated the apartment of Tesla when he died. He was there to, take an audit of the apartment, this important man working for the FBI. So Trump's own family members connected to Tesla's history. And now the new Tesla, Elon Musk with his Tesla brand in Trump. This is what the Illuminati is, you guys. And I say you guys for all the people who are new here, but the people who've been around and who've been researching these things. Again, it's no joke. The Illuminati was founded just before the United States of America. I know history books acknowledge this, but then say it ended, that Adam Weishaupt failed it and it was a disaster. How do you know when a powerful secret society that begins really does come to an end when it's a secret and it's about domination? Because Adam Weishaupt became an alcoholic and a gambler and his life fell apart, that means the Illuminati died also? I mean, is that true? That's what the history books say. But you pay attention, and remember, the Illuminati was founded by the Jesuit, Adam Weishaupt. So the Jesuits, the Illuminati, all these things are linked. But yeah, here let's go through this. Um, you know how they keep talking about this word, the kibbutzim that was attacked on October 7th? Kibbutzim. I just, again, not abusing gematria, but just understanding the way the media uses it. It could be a coincidence, but again, you have to understand because a lot of things don't make sense in this story. And you have to understand that 113 in gematria in English clearly pays tribute to a verse in the Talmud. And you just, again, the attack on the kibbutzim, but it's like, it's hard trying to wake people up who have not looked into anything in the last 20 years because the internet's made it so much harder to find information. But had you been looking at things 10 years ago, you would have seen how in Israel there's like this Hollywood type zone. And the US does this too. I'm sure all kinds of nations do this, but they have a place where they film military propaganda and they make it look like real warfare and tragedy. And they say they use that for training purposes and other military strategic purposes. Again, you look into the history of media and how all of the original news anchors on TV in America were all military educated. You look at how the United States is a massive military empire throughout the world, speaking English, like the British, that was the massive military empire of the world. That's where the phrase came from. The sun never sets on Britain before America even existed. You know, supposedly the UK has been controlled by the Catholic Church for a very long time. Jesuits, Templars, all this stuff is Catholic Church. We're on the Catholic Church's calendar. The oldest known script of English goes back to the Catholic chunk and the Catholic Church and the monk Burfirth of Ramsey Abbey, which is, England. But yeah, Baba Kama 113a in the Talmud says it's okay for somebody who's Jewish to lie to somebody who's not Jewish. But again, the greater context to this is as long as it's within a legal situation. And then you think about that deeper and you think, well, like, where in the world am I not under a legal situation? There might be different places in the world where there's different laws, but I mean, almost everywhere there's some kind of law. There's like law out to sea X amount of miles. There might be some spots in the ocean where there's no law. No eyes to see, no law, nobody knows. Fish food. But anyway, 113 in gematria, mainstream 113, dishonest, perverted, not true, not honest, not factual, disinfo, politics, perjury, fiction, bullshit, infidelity, divorce, sinister, erroneous, and a long list of other interesting things. Again, George Lucas and green screen got the 113. The green screen can be used to deceive. Seen Anderson Cooper have some slip ups on the green screen over the year, and other CNN members. But yeah, if you've never seen George Lucas's first film before Star Wars, we talk about how Star Wars is sick with Israel. How the Star Wars missile defense was just used for the first ever time in Israel the Friday before last. If you missed that coverage, got to go back and check it out. But George Lucas, with the same birthday as Israel, he was 4 years old the day Israel was born. His fourth birthday. 4, special number to the history of Israel and Zion. Fourth book of the Bible is Numbers. In the Torah, which the Abrahamic religions are based on. For the foundation, this nation on the 4th day of the 7th month, where 7's the 4th prime number. But anyway, again, look into Piltdown Man about admitted academic fraud. The first proof of science, the first supposedly discovered proof of evolution, Darwin's theory, was Piltdown Man, which was admitted to be a completely contrived fraud. And it was done with racist intentions too. It was claimed at the time that it was the reason white people were superior because the oldest proof of a man was from the United Kingdom territory. Yeah, look into Piltdown Man. The small way, Piltdown is 41, and the lie lasted for 41 years. And it reminds of the Jesuit suppression, which lasted 41 years and was seemingly all by the numbers. But yeah, this 113 number is on so many things. This post is older than Kobe's death, and Kobe's death, the story of that doesn't make any sense either. Buried now in an unmarked grave in Corona del Mar as coronavirus is kicking off when he's in a lawsuit for his Black Mamba branding with a pharmaceutical giant when Black Mamba venom in real life, if you look it up, it's some of the most deadly in the world, and it stops people's hearts. And the National Basketball Association equals 113, like coronavirus pandemic, which was declared on the 11th day of the third month. You know what I mean? But yeah, the attack on the kibbutzim. I just look it up because they kept saying, I was like, it's like they're saying the word too much. What does this kibbutzim mean? What is that? Why do they talk to us like that on TV like we're even supposed to know what it means? I don't know. I've never heard anyone in the U.S. say the phrase kibbutzim. But okay. Let's get to this because this one from yesterday is important. Yesterday, November 26th, 11/26. Look at the headline: 4-year-old Israeli-American hostage released to Red Cross. And what do we always talk about with the Red Cross? How the Templar symbol is the Red Cross. And again, the Jesuits, the current military order of the Catholic Church, their logo has the Templar cross in it. Again, new military order of the Catholic Church is the Jesuits. The old one is the Red Cross. But if you look into the history of the Red Cross or the Templars, the year 1126 was really big for them. The year 1126. Yesterday in the NFL, home teams went 6-5 on 1126. You see on that. What did I just say? Did I say they went 11-26? Yesterday, home teams in the NFL on 11-26 went 6-5. Knights Templars 65 in the most pure. The Jesuits and the Templars have the 2-all-1 connection, and you know the only city in America yesterday, Indianapolis had a nice big Indianapolis 201 had a nice big 65 ritual, and it's just like the on November 12th, it was the Superior General's 75th birthday, and home teams went 7-5. And the first game of the day was also Indianapolis, which is 75, and Indianapolis Colts is 75. And then Russell Wilson closed out that NFL week, the 75th pick of the draft with a big upset. Now his team's really on fire ever since then. While Israel's 75. And again, you have the New York Times article from October 6, 1940, 33 years to the day of the Yom Kippur War start. But New World Order, it says, pledged to Jews. And this is before Israel's created. But New World Order 75, Order 75, Catholic Church, again, 75, Roman Catholic 75, Ignatius of Loyola, the founder of the Jesuits, 75, and on and on and on. Big time important number. But there's a reason that all of this is happening right now. In the time Israel's 75 years old, and now the Superior General turning 75, the leader of the Jesuits, where the first ever Superior General and leader of the Jesuits was Ignatius of Loyola. Anyway, on this date, 1126, which goes back to a very important year for the Templars because they got the support of the King of France, which really, it gave them the ability to become the great order that they did, having the wealth of the king behind them. And so anyway, Red Cross, 1126, a story to bait you into really sympathizing with Israel and the Jewish people. Remember, in the show that's relatively new, and it's funny how whoever had it, if it was Netflix or Amazon, whoever had that on their Prime streaming service, they took it down right before this thing popped off. And it's probably because more and more people are waking up. Again, the Templars are known as the Knights of Jerusalem, who used to guard what is now known as Temple Mount, and they would call it Solomon's Temple back then. Now, today it's Al-Aqsa Mosque, and hardline Zionists want to blow it up and build the third temple there to bring back the Jewish Messiah. But understand, Temple Mount has Gematria 46, like religion, like Catholic, and it is that contested site because of the history of the Catholic Church and the Templars and how important the building's been to them. You might recall a few years back, it caught on fire the same day Notre Dame in France caught on fire, the same place the Templars were burned at the stake. But anyhow, 1126, important year to the Templars, the Red Cross gang. And remember, the Templars are the original bankers. And when people think of bankers and conspiracy, they think of Rothschild, a family that's had a lot of 201 rituals in their history. And again, Rothschild means red shield. The Templars had shields with red crosses. So red shield, red cross, Templars, the history of the original bankers. Switzerland, where they say a lot of the Templars fled to after they were burned at the stake. Now the land of banks, the land of a lot of things dictating to the world, Geneva conventions. Israel, the biggest violator, Geneva conventions. So look at the little 4-year-old girl's name. Abigail Eden in Gematria equals 65, like Knights Templar, like Christianity, right? And if you watch that Nightfall show, they talk about how they have 65 different headquarters throughout Europe. Remember, the Catholic Church used to rule over Europe. The Knights Templar were their military service, the police and more of the times. But in the show, they got to tell you 65. And again, this is the proof that the same thing that they've done since the time of Babylon in older alphabets that they're doing in English. And they're making it unfold day after day, and they're paying tribute to their history day after day. This is Catholic history, and we're on a calendar, named after a Catholic pope. The Gregorian calendar that says today is Monday, November 27th, 2023, is because of the Catholic Church and their history and their legacy and the things they believe in. So there's even more to this. If you guys do not follow my website, GematriaEffect.news, again, I'm always posting content here. I don't cover every single post I do, but rather than bog it down with too many numbers, if you want to read more, learn more about the history of 1126, come read the posts. And just the way the news is too, just how they have to have the 4 as a number and the 7 as the date in just the first numbers in the article, and then on to the 17 hostages, which is the 7th prime, and 7's the 4th prime, and this was on 17 date numerology, and the word Mason equals 17, and their logo is the big G, which is the 7th letter, and modern Freemasonry is a Jesuit creation. Again, you follow the history, you see how it's been all put together so perfectly, the language, the calendar, the rituals, the symbolism, the biblical connections. Again, and this is all happening in the same, historical period that Bibles are being printed in English and numbered for the first time. And again, thousands of years in the making. It's not like it just started in the 16th century. And in a moment, we'll get to McDonald's and its $16 value meal. It's sad that people still pay for it. The food's always been not that great. And now to pay all that money, time to start cooking at home. It's not that difficult. It's not that difficult. And it's a lot healthier. And you know what's in your food and how much sugar and salt's in it. Again, they're dumping sugar and salt in the food to make you come back and eat more because it's so addictive. You shouldn't be eating like that. You're paying more to tax your body harder when you eat at McDonald's just because you haven't quite learned yet how efficiently you can make nice food. And then it doesn't even take that long. It's probably less than it takes to drive there and wait in the line or wait at the counter or whatever you're doing and get home. But yeah, we'll get to that. If you haven't seen the movie The Founder, they got a nice shout out to the Jesuits in that film. And again, yesterday, the third group that was released was 17 on 17 date numerology, which would break down to 8. It brought the total to 58. Freemasonry equals 58. Mason equals 17. Modern Freemasonry created in the year 1717. Again, if you run it in reverse, instead of Freemasonry being 58, it becomes 59. And 59 is the 17th prime, going with the United States of America being created 59 years after modern Freemasonry by a bunch of Freemasons that came over from the land of English, London. Again, you guys, London is 74, like Masonic, like occult, like English, like energy, like gematria, like holiday, as in holy day, as in killing is also a lot of a lot of deaths always on holidays if you pay attention. 3 of the first 5 presidents dead on 7/4. Adams and Jefferson on the same day in 1826. The men who were worried about what would happen when the Jesuits came out of suppression. 1826 days later, Monroe's dead, who wasn't real favorable to the Catholic Church, who a lot of the founders were trying to escape their tyranny in Europe. Things whitewashed from history. But yeah, don't forget stabbings, another 74. On the 74th day of the year, the Roman Catholic calendar that we're on. To remember the stabbing of Caesar this year on Netanyahu's 74th birthday. He just turned 74. Jewish is 74. Again, Jesus was Jewish from Judea. But on Netanyahu's 74th birthday, the woman stabbed to death in Detroit. Talked about how she was connected to the attorney general in Michigan, who's been connected to all kinds of super suspect stuff. As she wants to undermine the rights and liberties that the founders gave us in Michigan. That's a typo. Whoops. Anyway, no big deal. Also, the first American being released yesterday from October 7th to the Halloween is 24 days. And then 26 more days brought us to yesterday's under November 26th. So 24 days in October, 26 in November, 50 days after October 7th. The first American released. Again, America, the land of 50 states and several territories. America, which equals 50. You see the 139 like Freemasonry? And then you also see America again, 49. Look how Washington, the capital, is 50 and 49 like America. And again, just the first American 50 days after. Isn't it obvious the ritualism? And remember the other 50 thing, about the most 50 city in America is San Francisco, where they've done a gazillion 50 rituals. They recently hosted Super Bowl 50. The team was once 5-0 in Super Bowls. This number plays super hard every time it comes up in a 49ers game. If you just learn gematria and to see through the rigging, it'll blow your mind. But remember, the Church of Satan was founded in San Francisco as well. And just like how San Francisco's 50 and 122, so is Satanic. And San Francisco's on the 122nd meridian. And you might recall the day that Netanyahu came back, there was a huge satanic ritual in Boston. And Boston equals 22, also like Satanic, but also 85, like how this war went off. And the October 7th attack, the day leaving 85 days left in the year, which comes back to Templar. And remember, the Jesuit motto or the Jesuit logo has the Templar cross with the letters IHS for Jesus Hominum Salvator, which is Jesus, Savior of man. And the symbol for that is Jesus on the crucifix, or him being crucified. The word crucify is 85. Look at the overlap with crucify and Templar. You see how it's 85, 104, 41, and all the same ciphers? 85 is huge with basketball. 41 is huge with Kobe. Kobe dead on the 41st day of the Pope's age, traveling from Catholic Mass. These numbers have been really big with a lot of deaths in this 104th NFL season, and a lot have been connected to Baltimore, a city that also equals 41, which is said to be the most Catholic city in America. And then this year, the Super Bowl's on the 95th birthday of the Vatican. Come back to that. But yeah, the first American 50 days later. Ritual. And with regards to the whole satanic thing, again, just the synagogue of Satan equals 223, like Philadelphia, like the letter written to the Church of Philadelphia about the synagogue of Satan, like how 223 is a lot like the year 2023. We talked about all these things December 29th when Netanyahu came back, and why you could expect war and revelation tributes this year, and there's been many. So yeah, just 40, this biblical number. More than 40 hostages taken by Hamas are not with Hamas anymore, but they don't know where they are. And I mean, it could evolve into a story that they were killed, executed, or who knows, just the way to raise hostilities again. It seems like it's a nice moment right now. Again, Title 40 was used to declare the war, to up the deadly carnage. And they say 40 Israelis have been turned over at this time too. So we've been talking about how significant 40 is, biblical rituals, and how they keep using the same numbers or number magic to seemingly give the world the middle finger. While they ask every government in the world to support them and send more money and be on Israel's side and have less sympathy for Gaza, because that's how it is in the media. But yes, 11 hostages today on the 9-date numerology, and Red Cross again. Story of a 13-year-old girl. Remember, the first two batches of Israelis were each 13, how star equals 13, like their flag is the star, like how Jacob is 13, like how in the Bible, again, Jacob becomes Israel, or Jacob dies at age 147. The war in Israel began on the 147th day of the nation's age when measured from May 14th, the day it was born in 1948. And yeah, again, Jimmy Carter, I hit the what is 47 thing, but in case you got here late, again, he's coming out of hospice care to go to his wife's funeral tomorrow. They saved the funeral for November 28th, where 1128 is the 47th triangular number. And again, White House, president, government authority, Republican, Democrat, and a lot longer list all have Gematria 47. And again, yes, there are 4 ciphers, but not everything equals 47. Just all these words do, though. Republican, Democrat. Again, they said the Democrats are, CNN has a story about how the Democrats are hurting right now because of how high the cost of things are, including McDonald's. on the day, leaving 34 days left in the year, when Democrats 34 like Biden. So Biden's, policies right now hurting a lot of Americans. It's a big selling point for the Republicans. That's what CNN's talking about on the day, leaving 34 days left in the year, as they unfold the narrative to you day by day. So you just shrug your shoulders and go along with whatever they tell you next, because, well, they kind of told you it was going that way. Biden just had $16 value meals because things were so bad. But we're coming back to 47. Again, Democrats 47, like Republican, like president, like White House. Did I say government already? Did I say authority already? The letters DC. Letters DC. The cornerstone for DC was laid on a 47 date numerology. September 18th, 1793. The word foundation is 47. The Freemasons, who have a headquarters in DC, celebrate the 47th problem of Euclid. Euclid was a Greek mathematician like Pythagoras. The 47th problem of Euclid you learned about once upon a time in school. It's a squared plus b squared plus c squared. But it's a formula that can be used. It's the way ancient mathematicians made perfectly square foundations and built the structures that still stand today. But anyway, 47, big time number. And none of this stuff's an accident. Again, 1128 is the 47th triangular number. So this president's wife, they wait till 1128 for the funeral. Trump right now is running on Agenda 47. Here, 1128, the 47th triangular number. Means if you add 1 through 47 together, it equals 1128. If you want to try it out to test it, write out 1 through 47, add them up, and make sure you add correctly. But yeah, it's just triangular numbers. Good to know. All this stuff that they do is mathematics. And it all starts to make a lot of sense, you guys. Look at here, on the point of mathematics, just real quick. The point must always be made when it's brought up. You think of the Balfour Declaration on November 2nd, 112. Mathematics has gematria of 112. 1 plus 1 is 2, right? Catholicism. Again, they gave us the Bibles as we know them. 1 plus 1 is 2, right? The numerology of that is 1 plus 1 plus 2 is 4. Fourth book of the Bible's numbers. 4 is very important in numerology. Again, 4's foundation. Mathematics being the foundation. The Catholic Church giving us the calendar, the language, syncing it all up, using it from all this knowledge that came from all these places that they hoarded in the times of the Crusades. All the Templars brought it back. Look at how Judaism is 112. Again, the Balfour Declaration, the plan to establish this Zionist nation, Zionist 112, on November 2nd in history, 112. And the word theater is also 112. Again, the world is a stage, the theater of war, the terminology we use. It makes you wonder. You see that 40 in theater as well. But it just makes you wonder, isn't it interesting? I mean, look at theater and, like Judaism for interesting. Isn't it interesting? I mean, Hollywood and, whoever did this is brilliant. I mean, it's just so clever. But, yeah, for questioning these things and saying, are we actually being shown theater, or is this real? Or are they just trying to scare us into this? Is this a show to scare us into this agenda? All of us who ask those questions, from whether it be 9/11 or COVID or any other flu or any other fear-mongering tactic going on by the media and authorities at the time, all of us who question it and kind of disagree with it and doubt it, we get demonized. And it's like, we're the ones who keep being proven right. I mean, how are we getting demonized? Like, what's with the people just marching along to the tyrants? They are under such a spell. So I've been asking myself all these years, how do they do it? How do they keep these people under the spell? And these are the things they do. So do they work? Are some of us immune to it? I mean, you got to do the research to answer those questions. To me, it seems like somehow the spell casting and sorcery is real, because these lies that they hit us with every day, the fact that people still sit in line at McDonald's for this overpriced, nasty food, I mean, something's going on. Again, the focus on things are too costly right now. McDonald's is the example they point with the $16 value meal. What kind of value is that? But 34 days left in the year. And again, Democrat and Biden are 34. I should put Biden up there like we just talked about. But that M, the 13th letter, all these 13s going on in Israel right now. If you can see down below this photo, they make a point, and they make the point in the article too, that the cost of a Big Mac has gone up 75 cents since the start of the pandemic. That's 75, while Israel's 75. Again, you watch the movie The Founder about Ray Kroc, who made McDonald's the mega brand that it is. There's a scene, the man who helps McDonald's take off, the man that helps Ray Kroc make McDonald's what it became, was a Jewish man who he found that sold Catholic Bibles. He thought it was so absurd that a Jewish man would sell Catholic Bibles. He said, come work for me. We'll do better. Something about the Jewish Catholic Bible selling man really impressed Ray Kroc. That's the story that you learn watching the film about his life. And again, the Jesuits are a Jewish Catholic alliance. 13 is such an important number. Again, M's the 13th letter. Every alphabet that has an M, that letter is used for the first word in Masons, as in the secret society of Masons. Again, modern Freemasonry, a Jesuit creation. The Jesuit suppression lasted 41 years, which is the 13th prime. Like how the first two batches of Israelis, 24 and 17, brought the total to 41, when it was 13 Israelis in both deals back-to-back days. Again, 41, the 13th prime. USA equals 41. McDonald's, a very USA symbol. The land of 13 stripes, 13 colonies. Again, where we go to school for 13 years, and where literally we have textbooks that are paid for by McDonald's. You wonder why we're not learning anything and why we're being kept in this state of the useful consumer. The useful consumer who marches along, pays their taxes, and doesn't ask much in return. And again, you guys, you think about it. We are tolerating, almost everyone in this society is tolerating supposedly what led to the rebellion and the being of this nation, overtaxation. There's nobody could argue we're not being overtaxed. There's literally a tax on everything. Your income, everything you spend money on, except for food. Some places might even have taxes on, well, if food is prepared, there's tax. But if you buy food at the grocery store, at least in the places I've lived, that's the one thing they don't tax. And remember, churches don't pay taxes. And the old government in Europe, where the English came from, was the church. But, yeah, the Jesuits have existed since the 16th century, right? Since the 16th century. And I forgot to put the gematria of McDonald's up here. You see how McDonald's has this gematria of 85, 31, 158, 50? Again, we talked about 85 with the Templars and the Jesuit motto, and even like the latest invasion. But just Templar is also 85 and 31. Okay. Now remember, the Templars are the original bankers. Okay. You have the Federal Reserve and its 12 branches. That's 13. And again, McDonald's is money. It's not in the business of like serving people healthy food. It's in the business of serving food for money. M. This is the point I want to make about M and golden arches and the bankers and the sun, and in alchemy, the sun is gold and gold is historically money. Remember, in Jewish gematria, or Derek renamed it Latin gematria, AU, the abbreviation for gold, is 201, right? Gold is 201. Like the Jesuit order is 201, like Order of Illuminati is 201, like this long list of 201s with the Jesuits and the Illuminati all throughout history. Adam Weishaupt, again, dead 201 days after the anniversary of its establishment, just like David Ben-Gurion died 201 days after the anniversary of Israel's establishment, and State of Israel equals 201, like the Holy Bible. But gold, money, Templars, Jesuits, serving a church that worships the sun and has the world worshiping on Sunday. You know, gold is also element 79, right? Society of Jesus, which has this huge 201 affinity, has the gematria of 79 in that same cipher. So is Knights Templar 79. So is Christianity, right? 79. And Christianity, money, the church, giving a percentage of your income to the church. A common understanding in religion is to give 10% of everything you make to the church. And the church pays no taxes. People worshiping on Sunday, worshiping the sun, which is gold and alchemy, all this old occult knowledge, you know, just doing what they were trained to do from a young age. Give the money to the church, give the money to the state, pay your taxes. you know. That's how McDonald's is everywhere. Just like the government's everywhere, McDonald's is everywhere. It's like how the New World Order is everywhere, McDonald's is everywhere. The Illuminati, the New World Order. Same gematria. Look how they have the same gematria, you guys. Illuminati, 69. New World Order, 69. Catholic Church, 69. The Jesuit Order, 69, right? Pretty interesting number, 69. Remember, heliocentrism as well is also 69 and 201, and it was created in the 16th century. That says the sun, or in alchemy, the gold, is at the heart of it all. I mean, really think about it, you guys. And for the record, Burger King, BK, have it your way. BK's 13 and 41, where 41's the 13th prime. And Burger King is 158, 58, and 59. It's also that 112 we just talked about. Well, the same as Freemasonry, 58, 158, 59. And look at McDonald's. McDonald's in reverse is 158. M, Masons, Freemasons, Freemasonry. Numbers all over the place, used again and again. The Jesuits created modern Freemasonry. What day is the Jesuits' birthday? It's the 15th day of the 8th month, 15/8, like 158, like Freemasonry, like McDonald's, like Burger King. The food is so important to what's going on. People are not putting the right foods in their body, and therefore they're not getting full performance anywhere. Body, mind, nowhere. Spirit, none of it. Yeah, if you guys remember the San Ysidro Massacre in 1984, the George Orwell year, it was on 18/7, 187 days from Ray Kroc's death in that same year, and it was synced up with the Padres World Series. Ray Kroc was the owner of them before his death. But Society of Jesus has that 187 as well. You see that? 180, special number, Holy Roman Empire, 187. The thing connected to the Illuminati and gets its symbolism from the Templars, the Brotherhood of Death, or Order 322, or Skull and Bones at Yale, Brotherhood of Death, 187. Washington, D.C., Jesuit stronghold. Been that for longer than it's been the federal government territory, with all the Roman architecture. Washington, D.C., 187. George Washington, who was favorable to the Catholic Church and gets recognized as the first president, 187. But, yeah, and you know, Jesus was sold out for money, right? Jesus was sold out for money. Notice how IHS has the gematria of 18. That's the Jesuit acronym, Isus Hominum Salvator. In their logo, it's IHS. It's written over the sun. Sun is 18. Money is 18. If you read this story that McDonald's has, at the end, it says they even found a place where they were charging $18 for the meal off I-95. Interstate 95. The Jesuits were created to counter the 95 Theses, again recognized by Rome, September 27th, 1540, the day leaving 95 days left in here. Again, Martin Luther wrote the 95 Theses. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated on the 95th day of 1968. And oh yeah, in Hebrew, the word light has gematria of 201. To the occult, light is knowledge, and in English, the phrase knowledge is power is 201. Knowledge is power. I'm missing a D. Knowledge is power. 201, right? 201. And what's amazing is see the 84? Look at this. The Jesuit order, 201 and 84, like knowledge is power, and then it had 78, 84, right? Like Jesuit is 78, 84. In three of the four ciphers, Jesuit and Sunday are the exact same. 84, 21, 78, the one where they vary. Sunday's 33, like Bible. Take your Bible on a Sunday. And again, the Holy Bible, 201. State of Israel, 201. The Jesuit Order, 201. Order of Illuminati, 201. Bible, 21. Sunday, 21. Jesuit, 21. 201, a lot like 21. 21's the sixth triangular number. Man's made on the sixth day. 6, very important number in the Bible. A book for man to live by and believe in. So, yeah, McDonald's, $16 value meal. Because, I mean, it is Animal Farm. People have just been trained to behave a certain way, and now that things have adjusted, they haven't figured out how to change their life. Instead of realizing like, oh my God, we can't pay our credit cards because things are so expensive and we're behaving the same way, they're not saying like, okay, let's not get ourselves up to eyeballs debt and ruin our financial future because we're going to be paying credit card debt for the rest of our lives. We need to stop, going out to McDonald's because for the family now it's running up to over $50 every time. We could be eating at home, having quality meals for probably $15 worth of ingredients, a fraction of the cost. People aren't adjusting. And then people are so busy too. Most households don't have a stay-home parent anymore. It's not like it was 60, 70 years ago when one adult worked and there was enough money to not get in debt at all. Buy a house, send your little child to school, send both your children to school. Back then, people only had one car, though. Definitely less consumption, more responsibility, definitely a lot more eating at home. This is the McDonald's era, also in that time period. And that's part of it, too. People just, some people have been the perfect little consumer, which isn't good for their own life, but it's good for the McDonald's of the world and the credit card companies. So yeah, this first human case of swine flu in the UK discovered today. Let me think about where to begin with this, because this is kind of a more complicated thing to discuss. But again, it goes back to Orwell and 1984 and the continued tributes they give to Orwell. If you've never read his book Animal Farm, that is a must. Today is 199 days after their leader's birthday, Rishi Sunak. He had the big 201 ritual last year, if you'll recall. His name is 129, which is 201 in base 8 counting, like Georgetown's 129, the first Jesuit university in the U.S. The Jesuit Order 201, Georgetown 129, Rishi Sunak 129. The Jesuit Order logo, half of it is stained in the glass above the Prime Minister's door in the UK. But it's 199 days after his birthday, the 46th prime. Virus equals 46. I'm going to keep an eye on him tomorrow and especially Wednesday. Tomorrow will be 200 days after his birthday, or his 201st day of his age, which means Wednesday is 201 days after his birthday. And Wednesday's Mercury, which is named after Mercury, which is the only element with a 201 connection. And Mercury's the trickster, and Mercury's in jabs. And Event 201 was the pandemic simulation for how they'd rush out jabs just before COVID. And everything going on in COVID had a lot to do with a few key numbers, and one of the big ones was 155. Today's 155 days after George Orwell's birthday, right? Coronavirus is 155, Freemasons 155. They associated that outbreak with pigs and the speculation, pigs, bats, bat droppings. Pigs might have eaten, gotten the food, gotten the wet market. All this speculation stuff they did. But again, you might recall George Orwell's first book before Animal Farm, before 1984, was Burmese Days. And in that book, the first number he uses is 56. And it's about the Burma campaign, which equals 56. And you see how Burma campaign's 56? And in that same cipher, so is Maggie Keenan. She was the first vaccinated person in the world for coronavirus. Coronavirus is also 56. And so is COVID vaccine. And then they said the second vaccinated person was William Shakespeare. Talk about tributes to authors. But 56 days after Maggie Keenan, Captain Tom died from the Burma campaign. And they said he died from COVID. And then he also died exactly 201 days after being knighted by the Queen, who ended up dying 201 days after she was diagnosed with COVID. But yeah, that's why I'm going to watch Rishi Sunak, because tomorrow's his 201st day of his age, but Wednesday, the Mercury day, is 201 days after his birthday, and he's 43 years old, and pandemic equals 43, and that was another number used in some of the pandemic rituals. And again, they keep talking about the next pandemic, and Bill Gates has put out a whole bunch of 201 stuff about the next pandemic. His latest book on climate change, where Agenda 21 was signed off on June 13th, 92, the day leaving 201 days left in the year. But his latest book's 201 pages, and I forget the name of his show that it's translated into. The title of the show is 201. And just the whole pig thing too. I'm almost hesitant to talk about it because, I lost a whole channel earlier this year for one video. They took down the whole channel over the video, and It was about how Kelsey Grammer, who starred in Frasier in Seattle, where the world's biggest needle is, where Bill Gates is, in a show that came out on 20/6, like Seattle's the 206, where the first case of COVID was in the whole world outside of China. And that was announced on George Orwell's death anniversary, January 21st. That was confirmed. Revelation Day. They ended up declaring the pandemic 666 days after Clade X, which was on May 15th, 15/5, like 155, where we started with, 2 years to the day of Trump declaring Operation Warp Speed on 15/5. But anyway, the Gone Committee is about a doctor growing genetically modified pig parts, pig organs, for humans, because a lot of humans die because they don't qualify for a transplant. There's not enough organs available in the world for people who need a transplant. So from the day this movie came out, June 20th, 2021, and it came out during the time of COVID, right? To the day that this first genetically modified pig organ was installed in a human being, it was a pig heart. It's like bringing Animal Farm closer together, where pigs represent the humans in Animal Farm, but or at least a certain group of humans. It was 201 days from the release of that movie to the pig heart being installed. And we said, come on, man, with all the 201 stuff going on in COVID. And you might recall, they were starting to talk about how just suddenly there was an upsurge in people's hearts fizzling out. We're like, okay, so now this is being researched and there's movies being made about this. And it's another 201. And again, for covering this in the past, just like this, the video was taken down for medical misinformation. It's like, I'm not giving out medical information. I'm talking about 201 and simulations and the historical relevance of the number, and why the first Jesuit Pope lives in Suite 201 at the Vatican, and why Catherine the Great preserved the order with 201 Jesuit popes. Again, it's not medical misinformation. It's information about what's being presented as news in our world, because I think the authority is lying to us and super corrupt and bankrupting everything, including science. It's not that I don't believe in science. It's that I see that authorities are corrupt and claiming their opinions are science. 1 mask today, 2, 3 masks. Get a plastic cover mask for your 2 masks. It's just like, come on, man, it's ridiculous. Where's the biohazard bins that should be everywhere in this terrible, terrible pandemic that's 99 point whatever survivable illness to almost everyone? Kills old people in nursing homes. What happens with flu and pneumonia every single year for all of our lives, where a lot of people don't live very long in a nursing home. That's why old people don't want to go to a nursing home. I still can't believe they pulled it off. Oh my God, locked down the country. Some old people died in a nursing home next to the original Costco, who's now all going to make you line up at their store. And that's not a joke either, if you didn't realize that. Kirkland's out of Costco. The original Costco is right next to where the nursing home was, where everyone died. And then Costco could stay open, and Amazon out of Seattle, and Bill Gates is there making even more money. And it's just one of the only 27 Jesuit cities in all of America. And one of them is Seattle, where Seattle University is, where they had the autonomous zone with the big 201 ritual right after the big 201 George Floyd ritual. I could go on all day. Anyway, also in the news, if anybody's ever seen these shows, Land of the Lost or HR Puffin Stuff, I got to do more research on it, because I just have a feeling there's more to this story. This man, though, died 54 years after putting out his first cartoon. And of course, Jesuit Order 54, huge number with the order. Just like when Georgetown took on Anthony Fauci, they said after 54 years of public service, and it goes with again, Jesuit Order 54. Jesuit Order 54. John Carroll established the first Jesuit University, Georgetown, when he was 54. Big time number. But 54 years after the first show coming out. And it was funny. I was trying to confirm what day he died on, because the articles weren't real clear at first. And when I searched for it, I didn't ask for the time of death. I just asked for the date. Google, and I searched it multiple times. It kept showing that he died at the 33rd minute of the day, right? I was like, Google's letting us know he died at the 33rd minute of the day. And then perfectly from his April 9th birthday to his death was 33 weeks as well. 33 weeks. And there's actually a lot more to it, but here, just for familiar numbers, and the fact that he died 54 years after his first his cartoon came out in 69. See how Marty Krofft is 153, 54, 144? Remember, we just talked about that with Elon Musk. Today he's in Israel on his 153rd day of his age, this biblical number. 144 is a biblical number as well. He's $54 a share for Twitter on 14/4. So this man had the numbers in his name, and what are the odds he dies 54 years after his first cartoon in 69? And where Jesuit orders 54, you put a the in front of it. The Jesuit orders 69. Yeah, there's even more that could be said about that. Also, I'm going to save this for later because I got to do another stream right now. But I want to talk about the significance of Yale being 322 years old in light of the Johns Hopkins University and Daniel Coit Gilman, the Skull and Bones member, the Order 322 member who founded the Johns Hopkins. I started looking at this more today because of the pig news out of the UK. Again, Daniel Coit Gilman was born on July 6th, just like George W. Bush, who's a member of Skull and Bones. Always big rituals with 76 in Skull and Bones. The Georgia Guidestones, which are about genocide for the world, came down on George W. Bush's 76th birthday on 7/6, 201 days after the Pope's birthday. And you see how Daniel Coit Gilman's 148 and 76. He founded the Johns Hopkins in Baltimore, right? And you see how Baltimore is 148 and 95. His name is also 148 and 95 and 76, like Skull and Bones. And again, Yale's 322, and the Johns Hopkins University refers to itself as the Johns Hopkins University. Notice this right from their own website. The Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine consistently ranks among the nation's very best in education. Again, even 322 in the Gematria. Order 322, Skull and Bones, known as the Brotherhood of Death, connected to all these big simulations that were synced up with the latest pandemic. I was reading about how important the 19th century was for Yale's medicine program. Does that remind you of COVID-19? The 19-year cycle of the moon. But yeah, you can come read this post if you want. It's just, it's a lot to explain right now. I'll do a bigger presentation on this later. But yeah, if you don't know about the Georgia Guidestones, you got to look into those. They called for a genocide of the world, essentially, to reduce the Earth's population to 500 million. They were put up on March 22nd, 322, Order 322. Then it comes down on Bush's birthday. The president, when 9/11 got set off, which has escalated all these tensions in the world. If you weren't alive back then, just nonstop fear-mongering about how nuclear war could be in the future because of this. It's just... And by the way... From the day the Georgia Guidestones came down to May 2nd, 2024, it's 666 days. You see how Pope, Devil, Enlil, Earth are all 52, like the date May 2nd, 5/2, the anniversary of Osama's supposed assassination. It'll be the 13th anniversary. So at 13. But don't forget, the devil went down to Georgia. The man who sang that song, like these were the Georgia Guidestones, he died 2 years to the day. He died July 6th, 2020. As the pandemic was getting underway, 2 years to the day of the Guidestones coming down. And there's a lot more to that, too. It was all synced up with Georgia's college football championships and just the same number of rituals all over the place. But yeah, Georgia, education, Johns Hopkins, secret societies controlling everything from education and news to government to sports leagues, and number ritual after number ritual and all kinds of tributes to history. So I'll do a better presentation on that later when I get some time. But yeah, those are the main points for right now. I got to hop over and do a live stream for everyone on Patreon. Thank you to everyone who supports the Patreon. If you're into sports and looking at how the games are rigged, hey, join us on Patreon. We stream always at least on Monday, Thursday, and Saturday. There's content every day, but those are the stream days, written content every day. But yeah, you want to learn how this knowledge is used in the rigged sports games, come on over and learn all about it. It can be very beneficial. So hold on. I just saw some of the news. Colbert cancels Late Show episodes after suffering ruptured appendix. Marie Presley's dead at 54 on the 54 date numerology, just days after. Sun equals 54. Jesuit order. Golden Globes. Gold. the sun, alchemy, bankers, Templars, Jesuits, the church. By the way, the church, the Vatican's an independent city-state. There's only 3 in the whole world. There's one in the banking district of London, Washington, D.C., and the Vatican. The 3 independent city-states, that's what the 3 stars are for on Washington's flag in our nation with all the Roman architecture. But yeah, they got their own central bank. I mean, it's so obvious, you guys. Today is 54 days after Ray Kroc's 10-5 birthday with the end date. Cheers all. Shout out to Nathan. Baseball equals 54. It was all synced up with the World Series that year, what they did. The San Ysidro. And that's what they do year after year. Tragedies, deaths, rig sports. This year, Skull and Bones member Bush. First game of the season, Rangers beat Philly. 267 days after Butch's birthday. Philly's the 267 area code. Next thing you know, Rangers are in the World Series. Bush is throwing out the first pitch, and then the 119th World Series, and then there's the 119th day of his age. 4-1. And a big old Skull and Bones salute. And so thank you, Nathan, and thank you, 13 Serpents, as well. Speaking of my favorite 13, it's 13 Serpents. I appreciate the support always. And I'm pretty sure you mean by your screen name that, you know, we're exposing this gang of serpents, the bloodlines of 13. All right. Appreciate the shout outs today in your stream, Audio Oracle. I don't know if you saw the comments I left, but you guys were talking about Black Rob. Don't forget, him and DMX died together about the same time in history, 24 years after doing the song 24 Hours to Live for Bad Boy Records that has a history of deaths connected to that label. And of course, Diddy just turned 54 years old. You guys forgot DMX. He was in the news as essentially being dead like a vegetable on April 3rd, 21, 4321. He's on a song called 4321 with LL Cool J, who ends the song saying he's the greatest of all time, where the acronym GOAT equals 43, like the date April 3rd, 43, like LL Cool J has channel 43 on Sirius XM. And that happened right after Tom Brady, the GOAT, won the Super Bowl at age 43. And remember, if you spell out greatest of all time, it equals 188, like Bavarian Illuminati. And that Super Bowl, Brady won 188 days after his birthday. And again, if you guys actually go back and watch my video where I gave that for free before the Super Bowl, the thing that really creeps me out about that, if you go back and watch that video, it's a short video, and I actually played a hip-hop song like Whoa, which is by Black Rob, for Tom Brady's GOAT ritual before it happened. I was just like, what? When him and DMX died, I was like, okay, I'm not in the Illuminati. I didn't have anything to do with that. That's a really weird, freaky synchronicity, but that is how that went down at the time. And some people called me and I said, Zach Noodle. I was like, I did not know that was going to happen. That was not the intention. It was just like, I just played the little clip of like, whoa, because it's so amazing how 188 days after his 43rd birthday for greatest of all time and GOAT, he won the Super Bowl. And don't forget, Brady's wife, now divorced, Giselle, born on the 201st day of the year. In that same Super Bowl, he had 201 passing yards. He's born in 1977, 201 years after the Illuminati in the country, and on and on and on and on. So ESPN wrote the article when he got his 201st career win, how important that was over the Rams, the 2-1 team that he played in the Super Bowl after 9/11, where 2 towers became 0 before years later they became 1. Anyway, don't forget the Jesuit Georgetown motto, both into 1, 201. Anyway, I got to switch over to Patreon. Thank you again to everyone who supports the work. And until next time, Truth Seeker.